Alright, and having created the different classifications, now let's move on to the properties, okay? So you can access this in two different ways. You can hit the property manager directly over here, or once again, options and property manager. Let's go into property manager. For now, well, I'm going to close this one, so I don't really have that one in the background, and straight up only have the property manager window. So the window, as we already mentioned, is going to be quite similar to the classification manager. Right over here, you can search for your properties. You can check out the different properties you got from the template. You can create new properties over here. In first place, what I'm going to ask you is to maybe, how about we hold down left shift and select pretty much all the properties we got from the template, and we proceed to delete them. Okay, so this is just for practical purposes now, but just keep in mind, heads up, there's some properties that are quite actually useful. For example, one of my favorites is number of bricks, okay, because this one actually have expressions. It's a more advanced function that we're going to cover actually in the next lesson, in the next section, because right over here the properties will calculate or will get the amount of bricks you got in a wall, where you input the different measurements, okay, you input the mortar thickness or the joint thickness of the wall, and then it's going to calculate number of bricks and brick volume. So there are some properties such as, for example, this one, which you can find always useful. But for this case, I'm going to delete pretty much everything, delete anyways, and let's start from scratch. So what I'm going to do is create a new one over here, but it's going to be a new group, okay? Because you can create new properties, groups. If you don't have anything, it's going to be a group by default. And for our example, we want to create three different groups: general furniture, electrical, and sanitary furniture. Okay, so let's start off with general furniture right over here. Okay, this is going to be the first group. Then let's create another group, which is going to be well, when you create the second one, now it's going to allow you to specify whether you want to create a group or a property. In this case, I want to create a property, which is going to be electrical furniture. Okay, we have to define this as a group. I actually forgot about that one. Okay, electrical furniture, there we go. And let's create the last one, which is going to be a group. Okay, and it's going to be the sanitary furniture right over here. Create the three different groups. And now when we created the first group, now what we have to do is start creating the metadata. Not the properties indeed, but the metadata, or in other words, the information about the information, the titles of the field, how you want to refer to them, but it's this data over here. Okay, you're going to create a metadata or a field which is product, ID, link, finish, brand, and the price. Okay, keep in mind that the price is outdated, it's from 2019, so you can simply input price, and it's expressed in in pesos, Mexican coin, okay, Mexican currency. So just keep that small detail in mind. Okay, it's going to obviously depend upon your region, so feel free to input whichever price or whichever characteristics you have in your own region. So let's go ahead, select general furniture. You can also, for example, click the plus button over here, if that does something, maybe not. Yeah, it actually does something. You click the plus button over here. It's going to allow you to specify whether you want a property group, the same as new over here. In this case, we want a property, and the first one is going to be product. So let's go ahead, create the property name. It's going to be product. Okay, let's go ahead, let's create another one, which is going to be ID. And I'm going to take a minute and create all the different metadata. And there we have it. We have created the general group, and now we got the different properties. Okay, now you will notice that we also got the default value, we got the type of data. This is something we're going to cover in the upcoming lessons. You can also input For the properties, as a last detail, the description. Okay, this is just a guidance to, let's say you're creating a format and you want to guide your BIM modelers so they know which type of data you have to input over here. So let's say that for the description of the product, let's name this, in this field you will define in text the product name. It can also contain numbers. Okay, so this is just a guidance when you, for example, hover over a property name or metadata. Once we put everything to the practice, it's going to display this small description below the title. Okay, so it's going to allow to whoever continues registering the data to visualize which type of description we got over here. So this is just a small guide, more for working purposes. Okay, so take a moment, make sure you create the data for the 3 groups or only the group you have selected. In my case, I'll just take a minute to create the extra fields. So in the end, it looks something like this: general, electrical, sanitary, with the referred parameters. And now for the next lesson, we can continue covering the value definition.